Yeah. Looking like
Oh yeah, we're all in. Perfect.
All right, cool.
Get it?
Get in. The Uncharted.
I guess that's you guys.
Welcome to the Uncharted territory.
What's up?
So today we are just chilling, just shooting some pool, just
Kicking it.
relaxing, all cool, you know.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be talking about something that's important, but also kind of easy to follow. I think we kind of struck a good balance with this topic.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking about the persons in each of our lives who have made us who we are today. Significant people who we feel have kind of shaped who we are as individuals.
Word.
Yeah.
Who did you guys?
So did you pick one? Did you
Yeah.
have one, Pat?
I have one.
Okay, yeah. Are you gonna go with Dwayne?
Yeah. I'm going to pick a guy named Dwayne Morgan. He's a spoken word artist, arts educator, and my mentor for the past 6-7 years now. He's been instrumental in the way in my career, and like I've based a lot of what I do based on what he's done.
You kind of mentioned that, but like, in what way would you say like he's been
Yeah.
instrumental to you?
When we met, when we first met, I was just this like young poet starting off, going to poetry slams, doing my thing, and he quickly took a notice and a liking to my work and encouraged me to come back, and that was enough.
Yeah.
For sure. And then I started working on a team with him, and then we worked on. We were on a team together for I think 3 times now. We went to the Canadian Festival of Spoken Word together on a team, and the first time Toronto has ever seen a championship is when we brought it back.
Hey,
Word.
bang, bang, bang.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he's just like, in terms of my hustle, in terms of the way I make, living off of art and how I kind of progress and grow as an artist. A lot of it's kind of molded and kind of framed based on what he's done in his career.
Absolutely.
I fashion a lot of the way I look at spoken word based on what he's done and the paths that he's paved in this country.
Absolutely.
And he's given so many opportunities to many artists in this country, not just me, and like in other countries too. So. I think that he definitely does deserve a shout out.
Yeah, I mean he's instrumental in all of our lives
definitely.
in some way, shape, or form. He's definitely helped.
Exactly.
Technically, we wouldn't be a group right now if the
If it wasn't a thing,
Absolutely.
Exactly. And like, the main thing I'd like to mention too is like his no bullshit attitude. Like I love that. I think a lot of people, when it comes to art, it's such a very like nebulous kind of job, and there's a lot of whatever, and people kind of like. I can appreciate someone who's straight to the point and honest and like.
That's one of the things I appreciate.
You know what I mean? And an artist especially who has like. Whose words is his career, he doesn't beat around the bush a lot, and that's very rare when it comes
for
to
a poet,
people like us.
especially.
Yeah. I appreciate that a lot in his personality and the way he mentors me. So yeah.
Oh shit!
Confident stroke from the young man.
All right, how about you? Who did you pick?
So I'm gonna go with my late great grandfather. Not my great grandfather, but he was my grandfather, and he was great.
Word.
So,
Yeah, but not your great.
Not my great grandfather.
Got it.
Didn't know that person. But shout out to him still.
Shout out to him too. Yeah.
Whoever he
Wouldn't
was.
be here.
Shout out to all of the
Shout
ancestors.
out to all my ancestors.
Everyone down the line.
Shout out to the slaves and the slave masters.
Yeah.
All of you.
So real. Shout out to the slave masters.
Am I not allowed to shout out to the slave masters?
No, technically, if they're like your ancestors, you can shout out those specific ones.
But there's not slave masters in general.
No.
Give me slave masters.
The ones that made him.
The ones that are part of my
possibility.
lineage. Yeah. Shout out to those people just for the fact that they had a part in making me.
We don't rate that you were slave masters.
No, we don't rate that. We don't rate that.
But shout out to you though.
Shout out to them still. But to bring it back, my grandfather. When I look at the other influences in my life, all my other influences are my influences because of my grandfather. So
Word, that's deep.
Yeah.
That's
So
deep.
like, I'm like, oh, maybe I should pick my dad. Influenced by my grandfather.
Yeah.
Maybe I should pick Kanye West. Influenced by my grandfather.
He influenced Kanye.
And my grandfather influenced Kanye West.
Yeah.
He influenced my gravitation towards.
Yeah, your perspective on life,
Absolutely.
which led you to be a fan of someone
Kanye
like
West.
Kanye West.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who's instrumental.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my grandfather grew up like next level poor. Like him and all his siblings just in a
Dirt.
literally like
dirt.
Literally like he would just eat sugarcane for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Damn.
And sometimes he had
That's serious.
breadfruit or cassava. For those of you who don't know what cassava is, it's much like a daikon, but Caribbean version, I would say. So yeah, he would just that and this thing called swank, which is basically like sugar and water mixed together. And like everyone who's ever seen me drink tea will like be astounded / disgusted at the amount of sugar I put into my tea. But that's just because of him, like because he grew up with sugar and water as his main source of electrolytes / energy for the work that he had to do. And fast forward like 10, 15, 20 years down the line, he ends up becoming the first person to bring a jetliner into the country that I lived in, St. Kitts and Nevis, when he brought in Amerijet, which was a Dutch airliner, a Dutch jetliner, a cargo freight. And just some of the stuff that he's done as far as the airline industry in St. Kitts, paving the way for so many other people. He's the reason, partly the reason why American Airlines can fly to St. Kitts, or why Air Canada can fly to St. Kitts.
That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pay your respects, tourists.
Pay your respects to all you tourists who visit St. Kitts and Nevis on a daily, even you cruise passengers. I'm talking to you too. Shout out to my grandfather. Pay homage.
Jeez.
Yeah. he used to always say, he used to have this quote on the back of his desk in his office. He used to say,
What is it?
never argue with a fool. People might not know the difference. And it was just a face juxtaposed to each other, but it was the same face arguing. One of them obviously was the fool, and one of them was a smart person.
You don't know.
But you can't tell because they're both making the same face. You don't know which one is the fool.
Say it again.
Never argue with a fool. People might not know the difference. Yeah. So, he was instrumental. I got to know him up until I was about 11 or 12. But by then, he'd already made a lasting impression in my life, and so much of who I am today is because of him. Even every time I get on the mic, I always have to pay homage and pay my respects to him for what he's been able to accomplish personally and the influence that he's had in my life. So, shout out to you, Paji.
Shout out.
We're so vain. Okay, me, third up. There was a lot of people. I look over my life and I realize that, like, especially in my adolescence, there was just a whole community of people that kind of gathered around me and did a job.
Absolutely.
Yeah, did a job raising me. Even though I did a lot of my growing up on my own terms, but I'd say the person that influenced me both in terms of my personality and just who I wound up becoming. You heard me make a verbal mistake, y'all. I'm not cursing right now because of who it is.
The mouth. Sorry.
Apparently I can't speak English no more.
Oh, sorry.
About to boot.
I'm sorry.
Lazy, I was quit. No, I'm sorry.
I was trying to find something to find a way to roast that.
Dribble how you may.
Take that how you will.
Yeah.
Take that how you will.
They underestimated me.
Stop it.
Anyway, the person who I would say had the absolute most influence on my character and the person I've become today is my old youth pastor, Chris Chase. He was my youth pastor for 2 years. I had him for like a little weird interim phase in junior high when I wasn't a person of faith at all. And then years later, he was like my senior high person. But he was just a really big influence in my life, just in terms of character. I think that was something that he always tried to really reinforce with me. I remember there was a bunch of things I got from him. So like I learned to love music that wasn't hip hop.
Oh yeah.
From him. I learned to chase my passions from him.
Chase
Chase the passions.
the passions. Hashtag chase the passion of the Christ.
Jesus. I knew that was gonna come.
Was that a stretch?
Did you just say Jesus?
Yeah, I did.
Stop it.
Sorry.
I can't stand y'all.
Oh man, they're gonna kick us out of this pool hall.
But yeah, I think for me one of the biggest things he taught me that I'm still learning, and I learned time and time again, is wisdom. I remember like I was this really overzealous, super church boy kid in high school. And grade 10, it was his last year pastoring me when I was in high school. His big thing was like having all these moments, getting emotional, raising your hands, doing all that spiritual stuff or whatever. It doesn't matter without wisdom. And being the hothead that I am, I needed to take that moment, and I still take that moment. I replay that moment over and over in my head, and when I'm being too brash, I step back and I think about that.
Yeah.
Where could I be wise? Where could I apply wisdom to my situation?
Word.
And so that's what I learned from that.
Amazing.
Word. Yeah. So if all of us were to take one snippet, one lesson that was the most impactful lesson in our lives from each of these mentors or people or influences or whatever, what would it be? If you were to give just one little tidbit of advice.
What you invest, you eventually receive. I think I don't know if he ever said those words, but
Just
I definitely saw
mentioned
that just in the result of his life.
Yeah.
And he invested so much time in the youth of our church.
Yeah.
And I just see like how that propels forward and just the way people have lived their lives.
Yeah.
And there are some people who, like fall by the wayside in terms of like make their own decisions that hurt themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone ultimately like has a core understanding of who they are. They all understand that they're loved. They understand that they are cared for. And whether or not they practice the faith, people knew who they were and knew that they had somewhere to go back to. They had a community. And that resonates with him. Like all in my life, if anyone wanted to be babysitting his kids and he needed a babysitter, he could have one in 5 minutes. And so like what you give and the quality of how you give always comes back.
Yeah, if I think I did learn anything from my grandfather, which I would like to think I did, it would be to always appreciate the present. He was a man who made plans, executed plans, but he was always very aware of where he was at the present time. And it's not even about just being mindful or just being present in the moment, just understanding who you are and your place and your space in the world. Like,
Word.
Up until the day he had a stroke, he walked to work in like 85-degree sun at like 85 years old.
Wow.
So I think if he can put in that kind of effort and appreciate the present and the ability that he had to walk to work, to take that 50-minute walk to work in the sun, against the wishes of my dad, who always worried about that.
Yeah.
But if he could do that, then like why can't I be out here like working my ass off and trying to build for myself and for my future?
Yeah.
And just to appreciate where I'm at right now, appreciate the struggle, appreciate the difficulties, and embrace them, and understand that if you don't have any struggles, you're doing something wrong. You know, you have to have some sort of obstacle in your way, or you should have some sort of uphill task, because nothing was ever gained by just falling down a hill. You know?
Word.
You have to go up all the time. You have to constantly be moving forward.
It's what grows you.
Absolutely. And people don't go down, they go up. You know, so I think my grandfather was, hey, but my grandfather is like super instrumental in teaching me that very basic lesson, and I'll be forever indebted to him for that.
Yeah, and I guess for me, what Dwayne Morgan has left to me is that you have to give back. That all of these people who've had a hand in influencing me or influencing you or whoever, it's like they've put themselves into you and they've helped you get to where you are, and it's important for you to understand that you're nothing unless you can come back to where you're from.
Word.
And give back to that community who lifted you up in the beginning. So that's what I take it from him for sure. Word.
Thank you all so much for listening.
Thank you for
We
tuning in.
hope that you have appreciated our conversation / dope.
Sorry, it's still on.
What is going on in your life right now?
You're good. Sorry.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Are you ever gonna let me finish?
No, never.
Thank you so much for watching. We hope that you've appreciated our conversation / slightly above average pool skills. Maybe not. Maybe we're boosting. Maybe we're not boosting.
We cut it nice.
We're
Guys,
nice,
don't
we're
even
nice.
don't be rude, man.
Well, I won't talk about your skills, but tune in next time. And until then, peace.
Peace.
Adios. I was right, but I was wrong.
Even when you win, you lose.
Even when you win, you
That's
lose.
how race works.
Fucking racism. God. That's so.